Yes, you read it right. Can you believe it? I'm sorry, I do not think microtransactions in games are a problem. I understand this might sound crazy to some of you. It might be so frustrating, but hear me out. Just stick with me here, okay? Because I believe after watching this, it will at least make you think about maybe you're just gonna ask yourself, why do I hate microtransactions so much? Instead of just like going with the flow, going with what people say, and just complaining with everybody. All I want is for you to just sit there and think, okay, why are they bad and why they might not be bad, okay? So first, I just want to set some, definitions, ground rules, and just to make sure we're all on the same page here, right? I will only be talking about non-pay-to-win microtransactions, right? I'm not talking about things where if you buy it, you have an advantage in the game or anything like that. I am strictly talking about cosmetics, skins, battle passes, all this stuff. Okay? Although battle pass, I do have something I will mention later about that, okay? So, and this also can be a free-to-play game or a game that you've spent money in. Yes, okay, even games where you pay money, I do not think microtransactions, cosmetic microtransactions, I can't say that word, but I don't think they're that bad, okay? I'm gonna explain why. Just hear me out, watch to the end, and hopefully we get somewhere together, okay? Every week or every day, or you're always, if you go on Reddit or X or whatever, right, always see people complaining and posts that get so popular, people complaining, oh, this game dropped a $20 skin, how can they do that? This is predatory, how dare they charge this much for cosmetics? And they just go crazy and go wild with it, okay? I genuinely never understood that. And the game does not matter, because I know sometimes games with good like PR don't get as much flack for that as games with bad PR. Like, for example, a game that I've actually recently been enjoying again, and a game that I've played for so long, Overwatch. Okay, I know I've actually been kind of enjoying Overwatch. They've been doing okay, they've been doing fine, and I've played this game since 2017, and missed potential. Anyways, I digress. This game will get much more shit for a $10, $15, $20 skin than a game like Fortnite, for example. Even though Fortnite is kind of, not very popular, Fortnite is super popular, but not as popular as it used to be, right? And I've noticed this, that sometimes games get away with it if people are just happy with this game. Like, for example, Valorant, when it came out, I remember the dragon skin vandal thingy where shoot fire and stuff. And when that came out, I think it was $120. Can you believe it? For the whole bundle, it was $120. I might be wrong. I'm gonna check this, but it was just somewhere around that price point, 80 to 120, somewhere there. I remember, and everyone was complaining about it. But now you never hear people complain about, or at least I don't, right? Maybe, of course, people still complain, but not as much as they used to be, because maybe now people like Valorant, because at the time it was still kind of a new game, and people, didn't know, and everyone was doing the CS comparisons. Oh, this is a kid's game, blah, blah, blah. So a lot of times, the actual perception around the game will change how people will react to expensive skins, right? So I'm gonna stop yapping. I'm gonna get to the point. One of my points, first point is, and this is like the simplest point, okay? If it doesn't give the player any advantage, right? I've already established this. There is objectively no issue with it, okay? Right? Like, we're literally talking about cosmetic skins, voice lines, emotes, whatever. Nothing that affects gameplay, nothing that affects power level or performance It's completely optional. You know, you don't have to get it, and you don't need it to win, and you don't need it to enjoy the game. Okay, you just have the game, you play the game. That's your fun. The skins are not for you to enjoy the game. It's literally, if you want the skin, you can get the skin. If you don't want the skin, don't get the skin. Simple as that. So yeah, I don't think criticizing developers or whatever every time a skin is released is fair. And again, I'm not defending these developers. I mean, I am kind of defending some developers, because a lot of times people confuse the developers with their like management and like the financial side of the companies, and they make it seem like the developers are the evil people, but they're really not. They're just like working, and for them, they're probably the only passionate people in companies. So in any, you know, studio out there, the only people with actual passion are the developers. Everyone else is just there for money, business meetings, stockholders, and all that stuff. So I don't think even like the artists or whatever, they're not greedy, okay, because they release a $20 skin. They're just not. And criticizing them for that, I consider it to just be a sort of entitlement, because you have the game. Let's imagine it's a free-to-play game. You are playing this game for thousands of hours. Sometimes some people have thousands of hours in a game that they haven't spent a dime in, but they complain that skins cost money. I understand, okay, the game is free, and also I understand, this is a point that a lot of people don't make, but I will make, that sometimes with these free-to-play games, they actually need every player. So you playing the game, I'm not saying you're a net negative or anything like that. All I'm saying is, like, the game needs you to function, because it needs the player base. Because most of these free-to-play games, if not all of them, are multiplayer games. And if there aren't enough players playing these games, there will not be a player base. You're going to sit there in the queue for like 10 minutes. No one's going to sit there in a queue for 10 minutes. Imagine going home from work, you just have like a few hours to chill and play a few games. You're not going to wait 10 minutes for a queue. So I'm not saying you're not a valuable player by not spending money. Of course you are. And these developers, they understand and value that. But I think your reward for that is the game. Like, you enjoy the game. It's not like you're playing it at whatever, like to do these developers a favor and keep the game alive. You're playing the game because you enjoy it. And that's what you're getting out of them. Like, these developers worked countless hours to make this game for you, and you enjoy it, but then you want free skins or cheaper skins or whatever. They can charge whatever, right? My next point is, right, this is a bit, you know, this video is already a hot topic, all right, let me tell you. But this is going to be an even hotter topic, okay? Somewhere along the line, you know, like somewhere, just, it's kind of been lost in translation. So something happened where people believe they should own every cosmetic, every skin, every item, every whatever for free, which is just not how it works. It's not reality, right? Like, I remember even Overwatch. I know I've mentioned it, but I'll mention it again. Overwatch 1, you could technically own everything for free except Pink Mercy, because that was a charity event, right? So you had to pay the money to get it. And at the time, it was a paid game. There were loot boxes, but then they would give you loot boxes for free. That business model, I mean, Overwatch actually wasn't making as much money as it should have been making in Overwatch 1. It was making money, don't get me wrong. They were fine, but that's the thing. These developers need this money to develop the game further. If in a perfect world, they would use this money to make the game better and improve it. But at the same time, you cannot blame developers or blame games because their management and their investors are getting on their ass saying, oh, where's the money? Where's this? Where's that? Right? So you are not entitled to owning every single skin in any game you play. And this is just fact. Because especially, by the way, if it's a free-to-play game, this doesn't even only apply to free-to-play games, but especially free-to-play games. We'll get to the paid games in a bit. But with free-to-play games, like I said, you provide value by being a player, right? So you're helping the game stay alive by having a player base, because most of the time these games are multiplayer games, and without active players, regardless of if they spend money or not, these games will die. But in return, what you get is entertainment. You get a game that you can play for millions of hours if you want, right? It doesn't matter. So you sitting there thinking that you should also own every skin in the game for free makes no sense. And you sitting there also thinking that, oh, this skin is $20, it should only be $5, also makes no sense, because not everything made is for everybody. Some things are made for a specific, like let's say the 5% of people. It's like the people that play the game. It's not made for everyone, and it's just how it is. And by the way, sometimes volume doesn't make sense. Like, this is analytical stuff, but these developers usually will know, right? Because sometimes they release like cheaper priced items and more expensive priced items, and I'm pretty sure if them releasing cheaper items will make them the same amount of money or more money, they would do that, because that's, these companies only care about money. But the fact that they don't tells you that they just wouldn't make the same amount of money, right? So you cannot ask them, like, you can't ask an artist to be like, yeah, well, just charge less. Why? They value their work, they value the product they made for $20, so they're gonna charge $20. It's that simple, right? Think of it like this: if you go to a movie theater, you pay a ticket. What's that ticket for? It's to watch the movie. And this is the argument for paid games as well. So here you literally paid a ticket, right? So this is for paid games, right? Free-to-play games is literally, you cannot argue that skins should be earnable for free. All of them. Sure, you could say some of them, yeah, whatever, but not all of them, okay? And even some of them, that would be like the developers being nice. Still, you're not owed anything. Okay, but think of a paid game now. You go to the movie theater, you buy a ticket, you watch the movie. Wow, great. You got your money's worth because you watched the movie. Now imagine thinking that just because you bought the ticket, you're entitled to popcorn, drinks, fucking snacks, all that stuff. No. You paid for the movie. You didn't pay for all these extras, right? So you go to paid games where you paid for the game and you paid with what you get with the game, because you know what you're getting before paying, right? You know everything. You know like all the maps you're getting, all the whatever you're getting. If there's any cosmetics, usually they'll have like a deluxe pack or whatever that gives you like a few currency and all that stuff. You know that. So you enter a contract. If you're not happy with that, just don't buy the game. Okay? And if the developers commit to zero pay to win mechanics, you cannot be mad about them making skins that you are not included in as a paying customer that bought the game. You can't be mad at that. Just understand the fact that in life you cannot have everything. And I know this sounds like I'm making a big deal out of it, but it just bothers me. It just bothers me, because then people complain, oh, games these days are not that good. And by the way, yeah, I agree. Games these days are not really that great. But you know what? Having these games be almost all free, right? All these competitive shooters or online multiplayer games free, that allows access to more people to play it, for more people to play it. Like I was saying, without people playing the games, you would be waiting 5 and 10 minute queue times just to find a 10-minute match. You'd literally be in the lobby waiting for a game, same amount of time as you playing the game. That's not good. It's not healthy. So there's a trade-off, right? You're getting, everybody can play games now. Because also think about this. Not everybody that plays these games lives in America or like Western Europe. There's a lot of people that live in, let's say, Eastern Europe, the Middle East, or wherever, and they don't have the funds to spend all this money on games, right? Because games, at the end of the day, they're just like a luxury item. then they're not really necessities or anything like that. Obviously, they're just entertainment. So having games be free to play is a double-edged sword. Yes, I understand that, because sometimes the games are a bit lower quality because they're just trying to get to the point where they just farm money with skins. But it doesn't mean that it's a bad business model. About farming money with skins, I do want to talk about, before I wrap everything up here, Battle Pass. And Battle Passes are amazing, but they're also terrible. And it all depends on how the company does it. So if a Battle Pass, I never really understood the fact that when you buy it, you spend $10 normally in every game ever, right? I'm sure some games are outliers, but most of the time it's $10, right? I don't like how they're time gated. And this is where like the FOMO stuff really is a problem. It's not really, because if they do a limited time item where you could just buy it and it's like 3 days only, and that's FOMO in a way, but it's not unethical FOMO. I don't consider it that, because you can, I mean, if you don't know how to do the financial decision to be like, well, I cannot afford a $15 skin right now, regardless of if it's gonna be the only time I could ever buy it or not, then you shouldn't be playing games. You should be in the real world, learning, going to university, whatever, taking courses. That you need to be working on yourself. And if you make the argument that, oh, they're like, they target like kids to buy these things, well, where are the parents? The parents should, keep track of what their kids are doing online, and at the very least what they're buying online. Because if you're gonna give your kid a bank account, or like their own account, if they're of the age of like they can have their own account, sometimes like a joint account or whatever, and you're not tracking what they're doing, and you're not asking them why are they doing that, and educating them about how to spend money, responsibly, then you're not really doing parenting correctly, because you're not preparing them for the future. Because in the future, they will need to know how to manage their money. So even that argument falls flat on its face, because if kids are online buying stuff, it's not the problem of the companies, because these games at the end of the day, they're not really made for kids like that. Because even though a lot of times kids play them, most of the player base of most games are 18 plus, unless you're like Fortnite. But even then, at the peak time of Fortnite, at best it was 50-50. But there was a lot of adults playing it too, because they have the purchasing power. So that argument also doesn't make sense, right? So yeah, with the Battle Pass thing, you have a game where you pay money, and then after 2 or 3 months they take it away from you, and if you didn't finish it, then whatever. Like, that makes no sense. So some games like Marvel Rivals, for example, they allow you to continue the Battle Pass if you purchased it after the season ends, which I think this is the ethical way of doing it, because you've paid money and they're giving you a time limit. That's when I have an issue. But with skins you could buy, at any time, there's absolutely no problem with that. So here is the bottom line. Microtransactions, when done right, are not ruining games. They're helping games survive and stay alive. Okay? Studios don't run on passion alone. Like I said, only the developers do the passion bit. There's server upkeep, there's content updates, these people get paid salaries, and communities support. All this stuff costs money, right? Unless we want every game to be stuffed with ads, like mobile games, or locked behind paywalls, so like having games cost money, not to even get in the whole conversation of how much games are costing these days. $70 games are the new norm, and some of them are talking about making them $80 as well, which is crazy, right? Cosmetics are one of the best ways to fund development, especially live service games. I know some of you hate that, and some of you hate like the fact that they charge for skins, but skins are what's keeping your favorite games alive. Okay, they're what's paying for your servers so you can play your game. And if you don't want to spend money, even if, I'm not even saying if you can't afford it, No, if you don't want to participate in that, that's up to you. But don't feel like you are entitled to receiving free stuff, because you're not. Okay? And when people complain that a $20 skin is too much, I understand that. But like I said, everything is made for its targeted audience, right? So the $20 skin is not made for everybody. It's made for the percentage of players that will buy it. And the developers know the math behind that, and they know pretty much how much they will make. Most of the time, they will have projected sales amount because they know what percentage of their audience can afford or willingly spend that money on a skin. And then they price skins according to that. They price skins according to what is the price that will make me the most money. So you have the most sales at the most highest price you can get away with. And they do the math. I'm pretty sure they have to do the math, because if they will make more money selling cheaper skins but with higher volume, I promise you they will. But it doesn't work like that. A lot of people say if the skin was $5, I would have bought it. But more than half of the people that say that will not actually buy the skin if it's $5. Okay? I know you might not be happy with this. You might not like the way games monetize these days. But if anything, I really hope this video encouraged you to just think about why you think what you think, and try to understand and not fall trap to entitlement and feeling like you deserve certain things just because you play the game for a lot of hours or you're a big fan. Okay? Obviously, I'm not trying to just annoy people. I hope I didn't annoy you too much, but I'm sorry if I did. But this is just my genuine opinion, because I was just talking with a friend about this, and I just don't understand why people complain so much about non-pay-to-win monetization. Anyways, that's been it. Thank you for watching. If you stayed this long, you're a legend. All right, let me know in the comments what you think. All right, if I'm wrong, please let me know. I'm willing to talk to anybody. All right, if I've missed something or you want to add to any points that I made, please feel free to do so, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much.